Hello guys, in this video we will be seeing presente do indicativo, which is present simple. So again, as I said, this is a slide that I will always include in our lessons. And here recapping, so last video we saw alphabet as well as diacritic. So before I actually start talking about present simple, I just want to go through this slide. So here we have pronome pessoal do caso reto, which is subject pronouns. So basically we have number, singular and plural, person, so first, second, third, and last, sujeito, subject, eu, I, tu, você, you, ele, he, ela, she, nós, we, vós, vocês, you, eles, elas, they. So notice that eles, it's referred to a group of boys, and elas to a group of girls, but eles can also be used to refer to a group of people with women and men included. And as you can see, we have você and vocês underscored, and the reason why it's because it's the way that we say in the Brazilian Portuguese. So we would say você for you and vocês for you in plural, and tu e vós, it's the way that they say in Portugal, so that's the difference. Alright, so do you guys remember this slide? We saw in one of our first lessons. So here I talk about parts of speech, and just like in English we have parts of speech, and in Brazil, in Portuguese, we would classify them as verbal or invariable. Well, today we are going to see verb. So verb, it's a verbal part of speech, verbal in number, so we have singular and plural, verbal in person, first, second, third, verbal in tenses, so we have the present, past, and future tense, and in mood, so we have indicative, subjunctive, and imperative. And okay, today we're going to see present simple. So for present simple, we use this to talk about an action that happens at the right moment of the speech, a habit action, characteristic of a subject, a permanent state of a situation, and a scientific state. Alright, so the first verb that we're going to see is verbo ser and verbo estar. So it's basically the verb to be in English. So while in English we only have verb to be, in Portuguese we have two verbs that is related to the verb to be, which is verbo ser and verbo estar. So verbo ser indicates a permanent state, verbo estar indicates an impermanent state. So for instance, if I say I'm Brazilian, and then thinking about saying this in Portuguese, so to be a Brazilian, is it a permanent or an impermanent state? Well, it's a permanent, right? So once I was born in Brazil, I will always be Brazilian, so it's a permanent state. So I am Brazilian, and to say this in Portuguese, we would use verbo ser. So verbo ser because of the permanent state. But if I want to say I'm sick, and translating this to Portuguese, then I'm sick. So to be sick, you will be sick only for a couple of times, so maybe a headache, but hopefully you would recover soon. So it's an impermanent state, and that's why to say I'm sick in Portuguese we would use verbo estar for impermanent state, and that's the difference between ser and estar. So now let's see the conjugation of the verb to be, which is verbo ser first. So ser, eu sou, tu és, ele, ela é, nós somos, vós sois, eles, elas são. So again, tu as you in the Portuguese from Portugal, vós, you in plural for the Portuguese from Portugal. And by the way, this table is the conjugation that's used in Portugal, but in Brazil, as I said, the Brazilian Portuguese, we would replace tu and vós with você and vocês, And the conjugation would be the same as ele, ela for você and eles, elas for vocês. So, illustrating this part, it's basically ele, ela, você, é, eles, elas, vocês são in the Brazilian Portuguese. So, again, as I said, it's the same conjugation. Alright, so verbo ser, let's see some example of sentences with verbo ser. So first, let me talk a little bit about the adjective. So adjective is a verb, it's verb in number, so we have singular and plural, and gender, masculine and feminine. So according to the verb conjugated, the adjective changes as well. So for instance, a noun that can also be an adjective that we learned before is professor. So professor, teacher. And basically we have 4 different ways to say teacher in Portuguese. So we have first professor for singular and masculine, professora for singular and feminine, professores for plural and masculine, and professoras for plural and feminine. Alright, so using these conjugations that we saw in this slide, combining with these 4 ways to say teacher in Portuguese, then we can say eu sou professor or professora, so I'm a teacher, I am, remember, I am, eu sou, and then we can either say professor or professora, and it's according to the gender that you identify yourself. So for instance, I would say eu sou professora, because professora for singular and feminine, so for female we can say você é professor or professora, você é, you are a teacher. So professor or professora, you would choose this based on the person that you are talking to. So if it's a girl, then professora, if it's a boy, then professor. Ele é professor, he is a teacher, so professor for singular and masculine, and because here the subject is he, that's why we are using professor. In this case, ela é professora, so she is a teacher. Professora, singular and feminine. Nós somos professores, so we are teachers. So nós, we, somos, we are professores, so professores in the plural. Vocês são professores or professoras. And again, it's according to the person that you are talking to the group of people that you are talking to. Vocês são, you are. And here, professores for plural and masculine, or professoras for plural and feminine. Eles são professores, so they are teachers. Professores for plural and masculine, and remember that I said for that eles, it's used to a group of boys, so that's why boys, masculine, professores. Elas são professoras, they are teachers. Elas, they, but feminine, so a group of girls. Elas são professoras, professoras plural and feminine. And basically that's how you can that's how you can make a sentence in Portuguese. So first we have the subject, eu, você, ele, ela, nós, vós, eles, elas, plus the verb. So here it's conjugated already, so you just need to go and check the table. And last we have a noun that's included in this case, so a noun in this case it's professor, teacher. And now talking about verb estar, which is also a verb to be in English, and we already saw the difference between estar and ser. So verbo estar, eu estou, tu estás, ele, ela está, nós estamos, vós estáis, eles, elas estão. So again, as I said, this is a conjugation for the Portuguese from Portugal. Tu as you, vós as you in plural, and in Brazilian Portuguese, which is the one that we are learning, we would say ele, ela, você está, eles, elas, vocês estão. So você, you, vocês, you in plural. And then, okay, alright, so as I said, adjectives are verb in number, gender, and according to the verb conjugated, the adjective changes. So a noun that can also be an adjective that will learn today is doente. So doente means sick. So doente for singular, masculine and feminine. So it doesn't matter if it's feminine or masculine, we would use the same word, which is doente. So doente for singular and doentes for plural, so for both masculine and feminine. Alright, so here, eu estou doente, I'm sick. Eu estou doente, sick, I'm sick. So sick, it's singular, right? So that's why we are using doente. Você está doente, you are sick. Ele está doente, he is sick. Ela está doente, she is sick. So eu, I, you, he and she, it's singular, so doente. Nós estamos doentes. Vocês estão doentes. Eles estão doentes, elas estão doentes. So for nós, we, vocês, you, eles, elas, they, it's plural, and that's why we are using doentes here in this case. Alright, so let's learn the negative form. So for negative form, we simply put no before the verb. So remember, no. So it's basically subject plus no plus verb. So for instance, eu não sou professor. I am not a teacher. So no between subject and verb. Você não é professor, ele não é professor, ela não é professora, nós não somos professores, vocês não são professoras, eles não são professores, elas não são professoras. So basically we are saying that they are not teacher. In the interrogative form, so for interrogative form we simply put the question mark after the sentence, and notice the intonation changes when asking a question. So basically it's subject plus verb plus complement plus the question mark, and the answer it can be sim, so yes, or no. And notice that the way that we say the affirmative, the way that we write the affirmative, and the way that we write the interrogative form, it's basically the same sequence of parts. So in English we would say I'm a teacher for affirmative, and am I a teacher for interrogative. So we would first say the verb when we are asking, but in Portuguese the order doesn't change, and the difference would be only by putting the question mark at the end, but also the intonation changes. So I'll be reading first the question, and then I would read this as if it's an affirmative sentence, just for you guys to notice the difference in the intonation when we are saying these sentences. So here, você é brasileiro? Are you Brazilian? So você é, are you brasileiro, Brazilian? Ela assiste The Good Place. Does she watch The Good Place? So ela, she, assiste, watch, to watch. Eles bebem cerveja? Do they drink beer? Bebem, to drink, eles, they, cerveja, beer. Você ama cantar? Do you love to sing? Você, you, ama, to love, cantar, to sing. And now I'll be reading this both in interrogative and affirmative way. So first, starting with affirmative, você é brasileiro. Now interrogative, você é brasileiro? Ela assiste The Good Place. Ela assiste The Good Place. Eles bebem cerveja. Eles bebem cerveja? Você ama cantar? Você ama cantar? And hopefully you guys could notice a little bit, at least, the difference when we are asking and when we are affirming something in Portuguese. Alright, so here we have the extra slide, and you guys already know what it is about. And here we also have the link where you can go and write a review. And as I always say, you can access the slide presentations and by checking the pins in the Portuguese chat channel. So you would see a link to the Google Drive with all of the slides presentations. And if you want to be notified whenever a Portuguese lesson is about to start, then you should catch the learning Portuguese world and such languages, and I would pin you in teacher's announcement. And last, if you have any questions about this lesson or any previous lesson, don't hesitate to DM me. Here is my username and my tag. Thanks for watching and see you guys on the next video. Bye bye.